Today I'm going to talk to you about creating a culture for modern learning. We started this process in May of 2019. A crucial part of a strong school and district culture is shared language. Our world, our resources, and our students' needs are all changing so rapidly that it is important to stop and process where we are going, and how we close that gap. When we began this module, we looked at some goals. Those goals included to look at some of the changes that have already taken place in the world that affect our classroom instruction today. We wanted to make sure that the teachers reflect personally on how they process change. We want to build a common language for modern learning. And then we did a self-assessment and set goals to expand our learning to be more effective in the classroom. This is a visual just as a reminder of where we began long ago in 1800s up until the present time. And as you can see, technology has changed many times throughout this era. So we realize that our world is changing. So what? What does that mean to us? It's important for us to think about the differences of how that we utilize technology in a daily basis. And if you look at this image, you can see that there are many different ways of how people interpret technology and how they use it in the classroom versus how they use it currently. I had each of our staff members take a belief survey so that we could really see how our staff members view and think about change. And then we reminded ourselves that there are always going to be different people at different levels of the change module. So some people are already going to be excited about change. We're going to have some people that are so scared of it. And then you're going to have some that are just so relieved that we're going to be doing something different. At all points of our endeavor, we're going to be seeing that there are many people at different pieces of this level. It's okay for us to have students or teachers in different pieces of this platform as well. It is important to recognize the emotions that the teachers are having or the staff members are having and encourage them to move forward throughout time. So we began to look at that change in this format as well as, are you in the understanding phase? Are you in the integration phase? Are you doubting it? Or are you in discovery? Are you ready to make that change? And it's a reminder again that as we consider changes to classroom instruction, we have to be ready for personalized learning. And you need to make sure that you understand where you are on this form. So truly, we're just looking at moving the needle, one small piece at a time. Our goal is to build a culture of understanding so that we can use new research tools and pedagogies to make incremental changes over time to support the individual and collective needs of all students. So we began by looking at common language. We wanted everyone to have the same language. When we spoke of particular items, what does that exactly mean? Conversation is the fundamental unit of change. If you change the conversation, then there's every chance you can change everything that surrounds it. This quote says it all. So we have to understand the language that each of us are speaking, and we all need to know what each word means. So we looked at these 6 words. We looked at blended learning, online learning, personalized learning, competency-based learning, flipped learning, and differentiation. This page shares with you the first 3 of these words. Blended learning. Blended learning is a formal education program to boost learning and operational productivity in which a student learns at least in part through the online delivery of content instruction with some element of student control over time, place, path, and or pace, and at least in part at a supervised face-to-face environment. An example of that is the station rotation model. The second one is online learning. Teacher-developed instruction that takes place online using a web-based educational delivery system that includes software to provide structured learning environment. The teacher and student are usually separated geographically, and classes may be delivered in real time or independently over a period of time. For an example, this one is about the North Carolina virtual public school. A student takes a course through this to get biology credit. Then we have personalized learning. It is a customized learning path that is differentiated, competency-based, data-driven, and tailored to the student's learner profile, strengths, weaknesses, preferences, and goals. The flexible learning environment is structured to support the individual goals of the students. We use this as our pathways. Students take pre-assessments and then are assigned a data-informed learning pathway based on what they need. Flipped learning. Flipped learning is the traditional lecture-driven instruction through video. Face-to-face class time with a teacher can be utilized for hands-on, authentic learning tasks that are delivered through inquiry-based or Socratic pedagogies. Flipped instruction empowers students to take ownership over their learning. We gave the example of using Screencastify. The teacher uses the Chrome extension Screencastify to record direct instruction for students to watch prior to class in order to give you more time in the classroom with the teacher. Competency-based learning, a system of education often referred to as proficiency, standard-based or master-based, in which students advance based on demonstration of mastery of defined standards. Students receive timely, differentiated support based on their individual learning needs. We talked about the pre-assessment. The teacher develops standards-aligned pre-assessments to determine student mastery. Students' assessments are based on content they have not yet mastered. And then the last one we put in there was differentiation. We want to make sure that people understand what differentiation means. And we defined it as understanding the differences and similarities between students and using this information to provide multiple options for learning content, processing information, and constructing ideas through the development of teaching materials and assessment measures that meet student needs. The example we talked about was News ELA. The teacher uses that News ELA to give students reading assignments at the reading level that matches the student's ability. Again, it's talking about being literate versus fluency. We are very cognizant that we all have a literacy of what's happening with these words, but are we very fluent in them? So we need to make sure that we understand them all. Then the last piece that we had our groups work on is understanding what the exemplar modern classroom looks like. We want to know in our particular buildings in Newton Conover City School, what is the student going to be doing in the classroom if it's modern learning? What is the teacher doing? And then what does the environment look like? We collected this data and we'll be using this to help each school define what that's going to look like in their classroom and in their buildings. So we want to be able to say personalized learning at North Newton is this. Personalized learning at the high school looks like this. This is what the teacher's doing, the student's doing, and the environment will look like. But in Newton Conover City Schools, this is what personalized modern classrooms will look like. The teacher will be doing this, the student will be doing this, and the environment will look like this. Just as a reminder, these are all about the first avenue for us to learn about culture conversations. So this was our first attempt at making sure that everyone in the district understands what the basic words are that we need to know. We will be coming back to some of these culture conversations throughout the year to ensure that we all continue that pathway toward that modern personalized environment. Thank you.